You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Okay, people. And then you stay here. I'm right here. Okay. If you are connecting, please just share, because I'm trying to get our young voices on the show. I have two already in the studio, but they're struggling with their cameras, so we'll be right back with you. Okay. So do not.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Okay. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, good people. You can see we are already live on the Pan-African Daily TV, like I said. And this week is going to be talking to young people on the continent, what they think and what they inspire, the Africa they want to look like and what they want to see. So tonight we are talking about a very critical and hectic topic. I mean, as you all know, Pan-African Daily TV is not a political media. It's not even a media. It's a platform where African bring solutions from their perspective. And particularly, we're talking to our elders on the continent and in the diaspora. Okay. So tonight, after having a young executive meeting yesterday, I mean, we had a scratch. We had a hard talk. As some youth around the continent were making, allegiance to the fact that, Western democracy is not working for Africa. But then the question was why Western, right? And so we had a very heated debate, and that's why we decided to come live today. Raymond, please adjust your camera. I'll be changing the position so that we can all be in a very comfortable situation, so that your guests could be seen and watching you all over. For now, let me do this. Let me do this because we really want to get you. Okay. And so we're still waiting for Kamara. Kamara is going to join us from the Sierra Leone. And we're also going to have an elder and a mentor to our young executive programs on the Pan-African Daily TV in the name of Lawrence Marshall, who will be joining us from the Caribbean. Okay. I just want to find out, can you guys hear me out there? I'm talking to the guests. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I don't see anybody in the chat room yet, so I don't know. Okay, wow. All right. Okay, thank you. Our studio is really acting up a lot now on the continent. The continent is just trying to, welcome the Pan African Daily TV and the voices. So there's a lot going back in the background. So never mind whatever you find in our studio today, whether the lightings are not good or you can actually hear us audibly. But we're so happy. We're so happy that we are operating from the continent of Africa, from motherland. Okay. And you see, we're talking directly to the youth on the ground. And it's not a hearsay. It's not like people used to anticipate or everybody's just talking what they think. It is the reality, it's the fact. So I want to thank all of you that are joining, and I will really be happy if you can always just sign in and tell me where you're watching us from. Because the youth today, they want to know what is their outreach. Okay, I see Kojo. Thank you so very much. I know. Thank you, Junior Majara. You said we can hear you audibly. That's so very good. Bohemian Pierre, spiritual journey. You are already on spot. You say I'm right here. Maki said we hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Queen Cheryl. Cheryl is in the place because I mean he knows. Cheryl is the pioneer of the youth, right? And so he wants to see the performance, what the Pan African Daily TV youths are doing on the continent. Because now we're getting serious, now we're getting to go. We're ready to go. It's not just about, calm talk, but we want to get, to see the actions on the ground. So if you're joining us, thank you, Kojo, for moderating. Make sure you click the show, share, and invite one another. Okay, because this discussion today is exactly what we have been anticipating. Does democracy works for Africa? That's even the topic. But why did I put Western democracy? Because Mr. Lauren Marshall was saying democracy in its word is Ubuntu. It is Ubuntu. That's the way our forefathers, our foremothers, before the colonialists came to us, we used to live and function and do business and do our political stuff in a democratic way. I mean, he spoke from the concept of how democracy is defined. And that is why all of us decided to say, okay, so if that's the point, then we actually are going to redefine and say Western democracy. Because Marshall Lawrence was arguing all the time that democracy to him and to the way we've been doing stuff means Ubuntu. Okay, it is the Ubuntu way of doing life. But now, what happened is the model that after colonialism brought this into the space of Africa. And that's the reason why it's not working. So I'll leave the two guys, first of all, to just introduce themselves to you, tell you who they are, what county they're representing Pan African Daily, what have they been doing, what is their activities, and where they even connecting from. I think the two of them, we have Kwame, we have Raymond, and all of them are connected actually from Ghana, West Africa. All right, but we have Kamara who is struggling to join us right now. He will be connecting from the Sierra Leone. And oh, wow, that's so good. Thanks. We have him right here. We have Kamara right here. That's Mr. Kamara connecting from the Sierra Leone, because that's how we started the topic about Sierra Leone. Because it seems to see the main problem now on the continent of Africa, apart from the coup d'etats or whatever, is Kamara arguing the fact that, this whole thing, democracy is a scam, that is not really working. And that's why youth don't want to hear about politics. They're not more engaged because most of them have been on the streets, they've demonstrated, they have voters are always being mistreated, they always steal the votes. And so before you know it, youths are killed, youths are incarcerated, youths are put on the street, or most of them lost their lives and their jobs, and that's not working. That's his point, that it's not working. Something has to work to be able to create the system in Africa that we want. So I want to thank all of you. I don't want to take your time, even though we've missed each other, but we're going to catch up some other time. Today, we want to listen to the youth. Seneca, thank you. You say you're watching from Mississippi. That's very good. That's cool. Thank you so very much. Invite all our brethren there to join us, because we really want to figure out democracy. It's not working. Leaders stay lifelong in their positions as leaders. And Marshall is always arguing and say, yes, but our kings used to live like that. But the way of operation is not what we see today. The kings that are kingdoms, like you see even the kingdoms of Great Britain or the royals in Europe, they don't change the monarchy system. But this other kind of leadership and democracy that is infiltrating between the politics and the royals and every other thing, they just think is not working. So I'll be bringing them all on the show to introduce themselves to you, and then we take that position back. So I think I'll have to put all of us on screen. If you cannot see us really well, let me just take the 2 by 2. All right, this is much better. This is much better. So we're going to be starting with you, Kwame. You were the first person that was here. I mean, introduce yourself. We're going to have really a long conversation. Who are you? What are you working? In which county you are? Tell us who you are, Kwame.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Susan Tatah. Good evening to everybody, and good evening to Tamara and Raymond, and greetings to all our listeners and then our viewers. I want to use this opportunity to greet everybody. And today's topic is about democracy, the type of democracy that we see in the whole of Africa today. Is there anything wrong with it? Is it good? Is it bad? That is what we are here to do. Today's discussion, we are going to talk about it in a simple manner because this democratic thing was not our form of governance. And when we want to choose our form of leadership, then we have to define it ourselves. First of all, nobody have to define it for us. The reason why they have to force this democracy into us is one thing altogether. My name is Robert. I'm one of the country representatives from Ghana, and we are working hard to educate the youth about what is really going on. And briefly, that is what we stand for, and that is what Pan African Daily TV also stand for, liberating the mind of Africa and then lifting us to our goal. Thank you.
Because of the studio setup, I'll have to be taking you one after the other. I'm so sorry for that. That's why I had to put Raymond and Kamara into the background so that we can see you, we can feel you, we can hear you. And is it possible to adjust your camera a little bit to your left? I think that's my right here, so that you can better be positioned. Yes, beautiful. Thank you. So nice. Yes, that's okay. So thank you. We heard Kwame is joining us from Ghana. He's the country representative for Ghana as well, because I mean he's a highly motivated young person. Not only he's not actually, his topic is not about politics, but he thinks politics is involved in anything that has to do with the development of Africa, whether we like it or not. We cannot avoid politics. So political topics are relevant to economics, to culture, to development, to whatever thing that we want to do, even to our spirituality has been tempered today, because of political issues. So I think, Kwame, we want to thank you on that perspective. You are 100% correct. So I would like to bring Kamara to introduce himself. And I think I'll have to, good. Go ahead, Kamara. Can you hear us? You have to unmute yourself. No, you can. You have to unmute yourself, camera. We're not hearing you. Wait, let me see. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Muji Kamara, a representative from Sierra Leone, a country in the West Africa continent. I am much more pleased to be a guest within this gallery in discussing issues that are affecting the growth of Africans here, to be specific. The topic itself lays more emphasis how we are going to target or how we are going to bring things on board, to see the things that we are going to bring on board or work on things, more especially in restoring the normalcy of democracy in Africa. People have been crying down that there are democracy or there is democracy in Africa, but it is not working. So I'm much more pleased to be here today to represent my fellow youth, to represent the unborn children and the future coming generation.
Thank you very much, Kamara. I hope they allowed and please give them time to settle, okay? When they start to introduce themselves, and you can imagine they're not watching you, you're watching them. So they're just watching their cameras. They don't even know who they're talking to, who's watching them. That's why I'll be flipping the comments when you're watching them. And so, but they hear you so well, camera. Everybody's seeing you because I see you. So don't be. I know that you guys are talkative. I mean, we had a heated debate, and I really want to share your perspective with the entire youth on the continent and in the diaspora. And everyone is here to support you because when we posted on the Pan African Daily Facebook, 99.99% said democracy is not working. Africans have to figure out their system that would work for them. So I want to bring Raymond to the stage to introduce himself. If possible, I'll definitely have to kick someone out so we can have Raymond share his introduction with us. Good evening, Raymond.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, everyone. I want to use this opportunity to thank everybody for watching us. Wherever you are watching us from, good morning, good evening. Um, I just want to use this opportunity also again to say, I think in Africa it's time for us to redefine democracy according to our environment that we should act, but not according to Abraham Lincoln. So it is time for us to redefine democracy that will suit us. So that is something short I want to say about it.
Thank you very much, Bayete, to all my guests tonight. As you can see, Masha Lawrence is in the studio, and we cannot see him. So right now, he's still struggling before we will bring him. But his perspective is very clear. Democracy is an African Ubuntu word that was stolen, just like our history and every other thing. From the word itself, from the term and the definition itself, that's what Masha Lawrence. Now, I will start with you, actually, Raymond. You said some very interesting things yesterday. Why you think democracy is not working for us? Is it possible for you to just tell us, take the stage and explain why you think it's not working for Africa?
Okay. Well, the reason why I said democracy is not working for us because we adopt this democracy from the Western people, and if you study about the West, they practice this democracy very well. But why is it that it's not working? First, I would say our constitutions. In Ghana, we had a constitution, a 1992 constitution, and about 31 years now of these constitutions, and it is not really working well because everything in this constitution just protect the politicians. So even though when they steal, they always find means a way to get out of it, and then this make them corrupt because one thing I know very well in Ghana here is we have two major parties. When one party is in opposition, then the others will be will be saying this party is corrupt, this party did this party did this, But if they come to power, they don't prosecute anybody, not at all. And this is how the systems have been, and it's not really working. And then I studied one and two things about before colonization in Ashanti Empire. That was early 18th centuries. When Ashanti Empire, we have a king, one of the a king, Ashanti Hene called Kusi Obodom. He was a king, and then at that time they had a war with the Dahomey, which is the Amazons. And during this war, Ashantis lost this war. They lost, and through that, the Kotoko and then the bourgeoisies, they come together and they impeach Kusi Obodom. After he was impeached, he hadn't have any successor. So they have to come together to elect a new Asantehene that will lead them. And this was, at that time, there wasn't nothing like a democracy. But then when they realized that the king that they chose didn't favor them, failed them in war, because of that, it have brought a shame to the Ashanti kingdom. They decided to impeach him, and he understand, and he lived and stood peacefully and walked out. And they have to come together to elect Ashanti, a new Ashanti Hene, who is a family of Oyoko or immediate family of Oseititu. You see, so this is a democracy. But then it is not what we are practicing right now. So we always said, people always say democracy was brought to us by the Western people. No. Before they brought democracy to us, we have our own way of practicing democracy in our own way before they come. And we threw away ours. We decided to adopt theirs. And it is not favoring us. So I think it is time for Africa to look back and turn back in our history, our culture, our customs. Because back then we have chiefs, we have kings who ruled. And if these people failed or they didn't perform their duty, they stepped down. So it's that same thing that is happening right now, especially in Ghana. Our current government have failed us. But is he going to step down? No, he will not. And will we call that democracy? You see, sometimes it pains me so much when these people are using the word democracy. Especially the incident that is going on in Niger, Gabon, where the ECOWAS leaders gather together and saying they have to restore power, democracy, they are using democracy and all that. I just asked myself, did these people understand democracy? Because what they are doing, none of them is saved at all. If things supposed to go in a good manner, now they won't. So I think it is time for we Africans to redefine a democracy, not about Abraham Lincoln, not about the West or not about the European, but about us. Because this one, now, it is not really favoring us at all, especially our constitution. Because they sat with them, they decide with them. Because I think we mostly blame the Westerners, the Americans, that they are responsible. But then sometimes we need to look back and see ours too. We the Africans too, because we are the number one corrupt. Because if we are not corrupt, there is no way they can come in and and bribe us. No, because there is no way you can go to America and just do something still and get away with it. Never, no. you are going to face the law. But then, when these people come to Africa, what did they do? See the current issues that going on about the LGBTQ in Ghana. Why is the parliament sat down? They decided they rejected it. Some vote yes and all that. At the end of the day, I know they are just going to bribe them, give them money, and at the end of the day, they are going to say yes. And this is the states of Africa that we can decide what we want to do. But then we put our trust, everything, we put it on them that they should decide for us. As I'm speaking to you right now, Ghana, we are suffering from economic crisis right now. Seriously, the country is hot. And yet easy cry. Things are tough. The youth are suffering. And now IMF is now controlling because we can't do it anymore. Why? And our president is not doing anything about it, and he still called himself a president so bold. If this supposed to be in a Western country or in Asia, he could have stepped down peacefully. But no way. I haven't seen any African politician being prosecuted. Never. Only in South Africa that I heard the former president, Jacob Zuma, face the judgment. But then, did that happen here in any other African countries? No. Because I saw when Mahama was in power, this opposition party were blaming Mahama. He's corrupt. He's corrupt. He's a thief. He does that. He does this. But when they come to power, they didn't prosecute him. Nothing at all. So what is that for? Are they deceiving us? Or are they doing something to change our mind to vote for them? That's what I'm seeing right now. Because they just think about themselves. They will just find means a way to deceive us. We trust them, we give them the power. And when they got the power, they don't know us anymore. So our leaders too have a role to play. And then we, the youth, also have the role to play. Because in future, we will be there. If we don't change our mindset now, if we don't change the narratives now, in next 3 years or next 10 years, we in Africa we have Agenda 2063. At that time, we will be in power, and then we will go the same dimension. So I'm so much grateful and I'm so much thankful that the awakening spirits, the youth are now rising up. They began to know who they are. They began to stand. We are now standing. We know our right. We know the truth. We know who we are. We know our culture. We know our history. So when we come out to talk, we know what we are talking about. And if
All right, I think Ramon has been thrown out. Can you hear us out there? Camera, can you see me?
Yeah, I'm seeing it clearly, ma'am.
Okay, good. I think while we're waiting on Ramon already made his statement very clear that this is not working. And from the examples that he gave about the leadership, the leaders or the politicians not taking responsibility, what they say today after being elected, they say something else tomorrow. What is the situation out there in Sierra Leone? How can you justify that? Does it work in Sierra Leone, or is just a matter of Ghana and the other countries or ECOWAS?
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, I'm Almami Ujikama, representative from Sierra Leone. If we can do a contrast between Ghana and Sierra Leone, it is something like the same issue affecting 90% of the countries in West Africa or Africa continent, to be specific. Um, we have been knowing that democracy is existing, but the one that we are having here in Africa, it is different from the one that the colonial masters are using. Because if you can take a look keenly, people are defining democracy is that a government of the people by the people and ruling of the people itself. In the term considering all of representative of the people. So now, if you can take a look, let me just take a brief example from the United States of America. Even though they are laying more emphasis for African countries to be practicing democracy, but if you look according to your own governance, they are doing demonization. For an example, it depends on someone's population or introducing the individual person to government. So now, if we can take a look onto African issue, colonial masters are the root causes for us to run back or for us to fail back onto this democracy issue. They come into the existence in Africa, to be specific. When they come, they destroyed our culture. And when they destroy our culture, they rob our culture, our traditions, and norms. They destroy the institutes that we have been building, saying of what my comrade has just said. There were rules and regulations before the coming of the colonial masters when our ancient people have been going through the likes of, there were kingdoms, chiefdoms, and council of elders within Africa. But since the coming of the Europeans, what they decide to do, they introduced their own government, their own system of government in Africa, in which the manner in which they introduced it, it was imposed into the people. They impose the individual government into the people. The people does not know what or how they are going to do this individual government or how they are going to learn from each other. The colonial masters impose their governing issues to Africa. The secondly, one of the keys that has been destroying democracy in Africa is it that even though they made a good try by introducing democracy in Africa, but one of the issues is that the manner in which they introduce democracy in Africa is much more poor. They introduce democracy in Africa so that they can use it as a missile or as a weapon in looting Africa's wealth. So this has been hindering the progress of Africa, to be specific. So now if we can take a look onto the situation here in Sierra Leone, people have been casting blame in politicians, the politicians, the politicians. But the main issue is that the politicians only work according to what was told to them by the Westerners. For an example, if I serve as a person representing this party, and I'm having a comrade that is representing party A or party B, if we are trying to approach into election, we have different sets of help from Westerners. And Westerners, they will only help an individual person. When they have helped you succeed in any governance, they are going to use you as a weapon to extract incomes from Africa, to be specific. So these are some of the issues that have been affecting the growth of democracy in Africa.
Okay. I mean, basically, what Kamara is saying that there's anything that is affecting the West African countries or any African country is the same in Sierra Leone. Is not working out there. It's a form of exploitation. But one thing that I find quite interesting or challenging is the fact that you said we had our own systems. Can you be able to be precise? Like, what kind of indigenous systems do we have that you think that we can maintain those systems and it will work for Africa as a solution or as an
Well,
alternative to democracy?
if we can look keenly according to the system that we have been using, it will be much more difficult for us to run back to that individual system because people's mindsets have been washed out. It has taken a long time since the ancient times. So people's mindset has been washed out, and it will be much more difficult and challenging for us to go back to those systems. But for us to empower them, because we have to bring them on board, even though it will be difficult for them to work, but we have to bring them on board and contrast them between the initiative of the colonial masters and those that we have been using, we collate them together and see how they are going to work. Firstly, we must target the institutions. There are different sects of institutions that are not much more independent, the likes of the judiciary, the likes of the electoral commission, because people have been crying in Africa, there are coups, there are coups. But there are civilized coups in which the ECOWAS failed to underline those individual coups. For an example, if the ECOWAS stole the election, that is a coup. The Electoral Commission rigged the election, and the ECOWAS are sitting, the AU are sitting, the UN are sitting, and the Westerners are sitting watching all these things happening. They are not coming together to put this thing into fight, rather than saying that African people, they are not serious. When you give them power, see how they are treating themselves. When you give them weapons, see how they are treating themselves. We have been crying out loud, raising awareness, giving out solutions on issues that are affecting Africa, but the implementation is still poor. We are not implementing the things that we are saying to generate positive impact in Africa. The implementation is poor. If we are having independent institutions, meaning if the judiciary, the chief judge must not be appointed by the president, because if the individual person is appointed by the president, he's going to only work according to the wills of the president. If the president is corrupt, he too is going to be corrupt. Likewise, that of the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission is appointed by the president and some of the party members or honorables in a country. How can the individual person be much more straightforward and be much more abstain from corruption? So you see, you always think that if I don't work according to the will of the president, if I don't work according to the will of the individual person that appointed me here, I will be sacked. So you see, we must strengthen the institution in Africa. We are now independent. Even though the independence that was given to us, it is a fake independence. But we have to make it real. We have to make it work. How we are going to make it work? Let us stop bringing the inclusion of the Westerners. Everything South African wants to do, we just have to get order from the Westerners. The interference of the Westerners, it is enough. This is enough. We are enough to build ourselves. We are having the capacity. Everything is here in Africa. Everything that you are thinking for us to create impact is here in Africa. But the issue is that we are not uniting ourselves to work according to those individual goals. So this is hindering the progress of Africa. Let us strengthen the institution. If the institutions are much more structured, are much more independent, the growth of Africa will see it in a positive.
Thank you very much. I think that was very clear. And I see a lot of comments in the chat, which actually is like, yes, this is the point. This is the kind of youth that we want for the future of Africa. Youths who know, who understand the systems, who are saying, yes, it might not be working, but we are not giving up. We have to create our own. It doesn't matter whether we have to start or we have to bring a medal between what has been existing and what we had to bring totally a new system. So I do appreciate that. And it's exactly that's what we're talking about. Like we said, in the past, people just think that African youths are dumb. African youths don't follow political issues. They don't even know what the form of governments they need. But from what, Kamara, you were saying, I think it is something different, isn't it? How would you assess the African youths of today that are challenging? Do you think it's going to be easy for any president to just mess around with them in the near future?
Well, upon this, let me say, if the youth in Africa are given a little time to take the mantle of leadership in Africa, there will be a competition between the countries in Africa. Because the issue is that all the ideas that have been waging on media, the initiation, they are ideas that are given by the youth. Because the liberation of Africa, it is the responsibilities of the youth. The oldest people have been trying their level best. They fight the battle. They were given a fake independence that they were celebrating now that we are free. We are now independent, but we are still under chains. So for that to be done, for Africa to be liberated, it is the responsibilities of youth. But the only challenges that we are now facing is it that yet still there are other youth within Africa, to be specific. The mindset is still changed. How is the mindset is still changed? For an example, if you are dreaming to liberate Africa, first thing you must first do, you must sacrifice yourself. How you are going to sacrifice yourself? Use your voice as a tool to raise awareness on issues that are affecting Africa. If you have used your voice to raise awareness on issues that are affecting Africa, the next thing you must do again, put that individual awareness that you are doing into action. I know that you will be jailed and nothing will stop it. You will be facing challenges, or sometimes you will be either executed. That is the fact, because these are some of the methods our politicians, our leaders are using now to seize the voice of African youth, because they're saying that there is freedom, meaning there is freedom of speech, but when you are done talking, whenever you want to talk or what you want to talk, you will be jailed. And when you are jailed, you'll be executed inside the jail or the cell or the prison without the knowing of your family, either, to be specific. But as long as you have decided to be a Pan-Africanist, you have decided to take the mantle in liberating and emancipating Africa, the life of Africans, bear it in mind that the fight or the struggle will not be sponsored. For an example, saying that I'll be opening an organization fighting for the liberation of Africa, then I'll be wanting a support from the government, I'll be wanting a support from different sector of bodies. That is a fact, big tailor. You will not be sponsored and you will not be supported. People will be considering you as a son of opposition person, or you are supporting the opposition because you are saying the fact. These are some of the key challenges the youth have been facing. Whenever you are trying to raise awareness in the community concerning the things that are affecting Africa, you'll be jailed. If you're not jailed, you'll be killed. So the politician has been using this to muzzle our youth. But this is a motivational statement that I'm giving you today. I'll still repeat the same statement. The struggle is not sponsored. Our ancestors has been calling, or they have been calling us. It is now the right time for us to answer to those individual calls. Our children will not come again and witness this suffering that we are going through. The suffering, it is too much. For us to break those individual chains, let us unite. Even though we have been casting blame on colonial masters, casting blame on other parts of African countries, casting blame on politicians, casting blame on different sectors, Western worlds, the blames are enough. To be frank enough with you all, the blames are enough. So now let us come together, sit together, work hand in glove, and see how we are going to implement solutions that are going to work for the liberation of Africa. We have been casting blames. These blames are now enough. Let us work to see how we are going to implement these solutions and let them work for better, and see how the children, the next generation of Africa, will be proud saying that these are the things, or these are things that our forefathers fought for. Please, Africa depends on you. Africa depends on you.
Thank you very much, Kamara. Yes, I'll be coming to you. I see Kwame is already agitating. I'll be coming back to you. Just drink water and we mind our African business, because I'm coming back to you. You've said some very key relevance, and that's what we're going to be touching on, the unity of the Africans. And you touched that point. 100% Kwame is saying it. Everybody 100%. Yes, we must stand for what is right, but we must unite, because we are never going to win a broken war. A war of independence and freedom needs unity. And so the next topics would be, how united is the African youth on the African agenda of the Africa we want. So, but that's not today. We can take that on tomorrow and in the next coming days as we roll on. But I want to bring Kwame right here, who's been very patient, listening to both of you. Raymond made his statement very clear. It doesn't work. We have to come out with another solution. Kamara is saying, yes, we could adapt both, but we should understand that that's our business. We should stop pointing fingers at the West. And we're getting commentaries in the chat that is saying, yes, why not? We take the good from the West, what we're saying, and then we wrap it all around the African mindset and the African spirituality. That might give something completely unique. So, Kwame, you've been listening to your two comrades. What do you think?
Well, thank you, Dr. Susan Tatah. They have said a lot, and what they have said is perfect, and that is the whole truth. But let's say there is a saying that if you don't name it, you definitely can't claim it. And this democracy that we are talking about, did we name it? The answer is no. So definitely, we don't know in depth about this democracy. In fact, Africans get more confused when they practice this democracy. Day in, day out, you think maybe it is going to be better in the next future, but it is not. It is getting worse every day. And they say that even this democracy doesn't work for even the Westerners. Then we must be curious, why did they force this democracy on us? We must begin to ask certain questions. Because if they themselves, this democracy didn't favor them, then why do they give it to us? And we know it is through this democracy in Africa that there is more corruption. They said it plainly that African leaders are more corrupt. But it is through this democracy. There is poverty in this part of the world, and it comes from democracy. Okay? All our resources have been shipped outside of this country. I mean, all this African continent. It is through democracy. There is a saying in my dialect that when you kill a snake, you must definitely cut the head. And what is the head? The head represents the the political party or the leadership of every institution or every country. When this our leadership become more corrupt, the snake is dead. You understand? So this democracy that we are practicing in Africa, it is not going to help today. It is not going to help tomorrow, and it will not help Africa in any way. No country ever practice what is being borrowed. China didn't borrow their form of leadership from anywhere. Why is it that we have to borrow from elsewhere? There must be one or two elements that might represent something like democracy, but we have to define it ourselves. Who founded this democracy in all African countries? Let me use Ghana as an example. There are only two political parties known. Meanwhile, that is not the only political parties in Ghana. But these two political parties do exchange every 8 years. Why is it that we did not know about other political parties? It is because they don't have enough funds, not because they don't have the agenda or they can't serve the people. And these people we know keep on funding this government. And whoever comes into power becomes their puppet. They funded them and then our resources. They keep us poor and then they keep us divided in tribalism, saying this political party belongs to this group of people and this political party belongs to this group of people. So we are divided thinking this political party is the problem. But these political parties are not the problem. Who founded this democracy? These two democratic parties. And I think this thing goes round the continent. Serve this Western, our Western enemies, or let's say our slave masters. Okay, so these democratic things that we are talking about, we have our form of governance. I think our chiefs are in best position most of the time. Some chiefs are aware of the reality, what is going on. They don't support it. I saw one interview with one of the chiefs in from South Africa. If we can have those chiefs in all African countries, and they can form a good governance system in our country, I think we are going to develop, and they are going to protect us. They are going to protect our resources and our minerals. They say democracy is for the people. It doesn't represent the people, especially in Africa. Then it is time we have to define ourselves, how we can govern ourselves, and a way forward that will be better for the next generation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think basically all my guest speakers here, all our speakers have really aligned to one statement that I mean, Western democracy doesn't work for Africa. For all of you that are joining us here, we want to thank you. Kofi, you just said, did you miss anything? Absolutely, you did not miss anything. If you just follow up even from the chats and the comments, you would see we're discussing today about Western democracy does not work for Africa. But before we came to the topic is because we, on the other part of the argument, they say democracy is first of all not a word. Through its meaning, it originated from Africa like any other thing that originated from motherland. Okay, so the origins of democracy themselves were actually Africans, and then just like the origins of our people were Africans, and then taken out and then rebrand it into something else and then bring it. So just take their history, repackage it, take a little bit from here, and then put all together and that. So that's the opinion, and that's what the young people are saying today. No, yes, we do agree for the Africa that we want. We do agree that we can be engaged. We're not giving up on our continent. We do agree that we know that we're under duress. We're under the manipulations of the Western powers on the continent of Africa. But of course, we also do know that we have our own form of governance before the arrival of the Western democracy model, right? And so if we only could empower this alternative, definitely we'll have a perfect system that will work for Africans by Africans. And remember, we're on the Pan-African Daily TV, and all our business here is bring solutions from an African perspective. So if you are not part of this conversation or part of this spirit or this vibe, you actually will not love our conversations. That I do understand. But if you're here, understand that we respect all the opinions of the Africans that have created this platform, our guests, our chatters, and everybody that is following us. It is our opinion by ourselves bringing solutions to our continent, right? So if you're infiltrating through a chat or anything and you're putting some red noses, that's your business. You don't even need to be in this platform, as a matter of fact, right? Because these are Africans actually chewing what they want as a solution. Africans are clear on the fact we are sick and tired. We don't need any foreign development, knowledge, education, spirituality, and all these things. We have been on it for 400, 500 years. It has never worked. It is not working. China tried, it didn't work. Other countries tried. But then the idea of picking a patchwork something, maybe it can work, just like Kamara said. Raymond is saying no, that will not even happen. We have to go back to our indigenous culture and begin. So I want to bring Lawrence. Lawrence is right here because Lawrence was the one that challenged the status quo yesterday by saying, today we're talking about democracy. He thinks democracy is Ubuntu, but that was just repackaged to suit the Western ideas. And so if we will stick to our unity and to the meaning of the word in an African or an Afrocentric concept, I think we wouldn't be having those challenges. Welcome to the show, Mr. Marshall Lawrence. And I'm so sorry, I see you've been, what is that, Marshall Susan?
Yes.
Something name, but you, Lawrence, I don't know. Yes, go ahead. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to say it's a very interesting topic. And of course, the youth will know exactly what they want, what they desire, or what they need, you know. But in democracy, there is something about it still that not everything will say it's bad, you know, because really the origin of that, I would say, is a practice that our ancestors lived. You know, it's something that as we grew up, we realized the way they worked together, they did everything together, practically everything. And is the idea of democracy is the main source, the main point really is the people, the people. So that's why it is said of the people, by the people, for the people. That's on the Western side of it. But originally, we know early years back that is the same purpose. That was the same purpose of the people. When our ancestors had to build homes, they built it together. They had to pull the nets from the sea. They did that together. They had to build gardens. They did everything together, practiced everything together. And then when it was time for food and drink and getting together, that was just a lifestyle. So you see, the purpose was there already. The origin of thinking of the other person and living together, that was already there. So I believe because of the years, it's always a system that must be governed by people, right? Because everyone can just decide where they do what they want, you know, that land belongs to that person, someone comes and takes the land, or that, you know, house belongs to someone else, someone just come and decide they want to take it. So it has to be governed by people. It is about the people. So democracy itself has to be governed by people. And that's important. It's also a system that must have laws as well we can live by, certain laws to live by. A system where the natural resources must benefit everyone now. That also is important. It's not, and right now, it's not really a perfect system. In the whole world, democracy itself is not perfect. So we know it's not perfect. There are some flaws and so on. But what is close to that? I mean, there's nothing closer than how the people can get together, I believe. There's nothing closer than that. You must have rules, must have laws. So it's a general, it's a life to live together. It's something in oneness. It's also a system where the civil rights are also respected. That's also important. So why is it they must have certain rights, you know, to respect each other? No, if there's no governance, if there's nothing in place where people just do what they want, say what they want, you know, and live anyhow, So even if the world today or the system today in Africa has to change, but there still must be structure. There still must be people in place to deal with laws, to deal with rules of the state, of whatever. It can't be just loose. Everybody, okay, go to their own garden and they come back home, and then their light bills. Nobody want to or pay light bills to whom. People must govern that. You know, in schools, you must have people to deal with at schools. So you must have those to be in charge of that. The medical center, you must have people to deal with that as well. On the farms, agriculture, mining, you must have those who are in position to govern. So just on that point, I would say that it's important that now the young Africans and folks get into position, so they themselves now will be part of the change that will come. Because this democratic system, what we call democratic system, is not going to just change like that, you know. There's some records of birth certificates and death certificates, other records there. So we need people to govern that, you know, names and age and different things. So it's a big system. That system now is not going to change like that. But if we can get many of the young people and the youth to get involved, to prepare themselves to take those positions, so maybe the leadership will be different, the vision will be different, but there must be a system. Okay, so I just want to share this one now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. Thank you for your opinion, and we truly understand. Yes. Like something has to rule some people, but I have to bring this comment because that's actually the point where we're driving to. Because at the end of the day, it's as if we don't have a system. At the end of the day, it's as if we're trying to grab stuff, but we are saying we are a people that has a system, that had a system. But you cannot come and destroy my own system and bring something completely new. Now, if these elements that we're talking about democracy are actually the elements that we had in we have in our original system, then we think Africa has a system. And that's why I brought the comment of our brother Matron, who say there's no system more all-encompassing than the laws of Ma'at. It addresses all the ills in society and work for Africans for 3,000 plus years. That's the point. Now, I'll be bringing back, I'm sorry, my guests again on the show, all of them together. And then at the end of the day, we're going to understand that we have a system. We already had a system. We don't even need something new, like all the speakers are saying. But what is the system? And what is the system that actually even democracy is part of the system? What is the system that even the church and the 10 commandments is part of the system? Only 10. But the laws of Ma'at, we have 43, right? So what is the original system that the indigenous people, the original people of the creation of Africa believed and worshipped and functioned with? About politics, about economics, about culture, about spirituality, everything is encompassed in it. So there's nothing that works that bring people unifying, hold people accountable, take people to the spot where people have to focus to grow, like the laws of Ma'at. So I know this is another topic that we'll be talking about, because what we are deliberating on this is not just about if Western democracy works for us, but what system works for Africa and even the whole world if we would stick to it. And we do know that the laws of Ma'at, there's nothing as unifying, there's nothing as that which holds a human being accountable and responsible. So instead of us always we've tried the other systems, the Bible systems, political systems, educational forum systems and all. What about the original indigenous system of the African that had functioned for more than 3,000 years, which is Ma'at? So I'll go back to Lawrence, who's an elder, and I'm just asking now. I'm just throwing questions.
Yeah, to me,
Lawrence,
you
do
said?
you know? Yes. Do you know about the
Oh,
laws of
just
Ma'at?
to me,
Do you know?
sorry.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Mute. Yes.
Can you, Lawrence, I
What
asked,
did you say?
have you heard about Ma'at? Do you know about the laws of Ma'at? Have you ever had anything to do with it? Have you ever
Sorry.
studied it? Do you have an idea what it is?
And I saw it. And I saw it once, really, once or twice. I heard it read out, but I have no knowledge of it. So I don't have any deep knowledge of it, really. Deep knowledge on it.
Okay, thank you very much. That's okay. Raymond, have you ever heard about Ma'at? Just like the spelling is
Yeah, no, please.
M-A''A''T. No?
I heard of it, but then
Okay. Thank you very
I
much.
don't really
Kwame,
familiarize
have you
with it.
ever
Yeah. I just heard of it, but I haven't studied it. I don't really know much more
Okay,
about it.
thank you very much. What about you, Kwame? Do you have any idea?
Yes. My art is I have a 42 negative confession that Moses extracts the Ten Commandments from. That bring harmony, peace, and justice in the community. And this negative confession goes with I will not, I will not kill, I will not steal, I will not. And this I will not was what was changed in the Bible narrative as thou shalt not, thou shalt not. It was this out of this 42 negative confession of my heart that the Bible Ten Commandments comes from. And this, what is more unique about this negative confession of my heart is that it talks about you, that you will not, unlike the Bible narrative where thou shalt not, that does not talk about you. And I think that kind of laws, when given and practiced in our African setting, and it has proven that these laws work for more than 3,000 years. It is definitely our form of governance, and nothing wrong if we claim what belongs to us. Yes, that's what I know about it.
Okay. Thank you. At least you have an idea, and like the way you put it. I mean, you're trying to see how they modify it to take the 10 that thou, and if you see, I mean, don't even go there because the language thing is already very annoying, and that's why it's difficult when they say I shall not by the laws of Ma'at, and so you hold yourself accountable. I shall not even lie. I shall not even, destroy nature. But when you say thou shall not, it's like it's always been somebody should not, and you are the one that does everything but destruction, right? So yes, I think this is already a homework that we're going to go because we're going to continue tomorrow again on the same topic. And this topic is we're giving you an assignment and we'll be engaging all the other youth. Go study the 42 laws of Ma'at. We don't have time to waste anymore. And then we at least would have a basic where we can start from somewhere. And because one thing I've realized on the continent is we're not responsible. And that's the point. We've been so misled, so distorted, so mixed up. If you're on the continent like I am now, you don't know where to start. You don't know where to start. You want to do everything, but you don't know, where should I start? What should I focus on? At the end of the day, you see Africans busy doing everything. That's what they say about us. It's not because, but it's difficult because everything is just like a mix. I've not been able to do anything. I've not been even able to understand what is this that I should do. What should Pan African daily be focusing on the continent with our youth, with our elders? What is it that we should be doing now? I've wrote down with a group more than 150 visions. I've talked to Professor Pietro, we've talked to King Marco, we've talked to all the speakers. But we seem to just still get in the bubble of like, where do we start? We have our elders to learn from. These elders are, first of all, not in a better condition. The same division between the middle class and our children and our elders is over there. There's just some dysfunctioning. The elders don't listen to the youth don't listen to the elders, and the elders accuse the youth of they are already in a new kind of a system, right? It's a whole, there's no system that doesn't have a hierarchy. Like somebody said in the group, we have to listen, we have to learn wisdom from the elders. But the disconnection that I see between the elders and the middle and the youth and the children, there's no unity in this class. So how do we start? First, education came and taught us that our elders were illiterate. And now you have this new breed or hybrids that are thinking that they are educated and they don't need anything from their parents anymore or from their elders. So they don't listen to the elders. That's appalling. Number two, you have the other misinformation of particularly those that have traveled. And now they want to re-educate their elders and their parents of what they think they have learned. And that confusion is there. And you see, the elders are struggling to warn the young people that we did make some mistakes, but we need to correct it. But then all this juxtaposition of your elders were illiterate, they didn't know anything because they could not write their names. And now the elders also have been, it's a whole mix. I hope people feel me out there. So we have work to do, Laura, Raymond. Am I just spinning, or it makes some sense?
Yeah, you are. Because seriously, the confusion is too much. Even if we come to Christianity, we have days. If you belong to this church, they say you go to heaven, and this church said this person is going to hell. Jehovah Witness say this. It's confusion everywhere. Seriously, you don't even know which one is the right. Seriously, so you see people, they are just doing everything like anything song, but it's really serious. Because I really remember when I was really growing up, I was born and raised. My mom is a Roman Catholic. I attended a Roman Catholic church, so I was born and raised in a Roman Catholic church, and I know about the Ten Commandments and about the Bible and all that. But then after I grew up, I decided to change my church, go to different church. When I go to Pentecost, it's different thing. If you come here, it's different thing. And Muslims, it's full of confusion. Seriously. So I think it's time for us to know who we are and to know our we need to go back to the olden days, our origin, that reflects on who we are right now. Because Bob Marley said, if you know your history, then you know where you are coming from before we can see the future. So, because Africa now, everything is messed up. Nothing. Even our education system, nothing. Like, confusion is everywhere. People are confused. We are tired.
Thank you very much. I'll just go back to Kamara. I see you're already in. I don't know if you followed up the conversation because you're kicked out of the stream. We're just saying, even if we say democracy doesn't work, the Western democracy, I saw the comment in the chat from our brother and our sister was saying, it's as if Africans don't even have anything to do with Egyptian history, like the original history. And I'm very happy because Netro said, yes, doc, it exists, but it's in different formats and different, it's called differently in other countries. And so even the unity of us having a one indigenous system of belief and culture and spirituality is a challenge. Camera, do you agree with that? Wait,
Um,
go
can you
ahead.
re-echo again? The network is disturbing. Re-echo again so that I
Yes,
can get you clearly.
yes, I hear you.
I said, so if you can come again so that I can get you clearly.
All right. I was saying we are in a mix. We're in an what we can call African mix, or what we call Jamaica, or what we call reggae. The continent is actually at this point, and that's why it's difficult. Don't talk about just Western democracy or democracy that doesn't work for us. But even if we go back to our indigenous knowledge of the original Egyptians and the laws of Ma'at and who truly we are from the origin, these principles are really into different sectors. It's communicated differently, and so there's no unity in the understanding to form that one unique system, even if we have to know who we are. Is it correct?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, firstly, to start with, we have already know who we are, to be frank enough. Each single soul that is staying in Africa know what you are and who you are. We already know that we are Africans, and that is something we already know. But for us to talk back onto the ancient ruling system, it will be much more difficult because we only have to go through all those trainings, those things, their manner of governance, then all of this stuff much more difficult for us to learn all those ethnic groups, tribes. I'm sure you understand the scenario I'm trying to delve
Sure,
at.
I got you. Of course, I got you. I'm with you.
So for us to talk back to that individual route is really much more difficult, and it is going to eat our time. Even though the time has already been eaten, it is going to eat back our time. So now the only issue or the only area that I want Africa to delve into to lay more emphasis on, let us look onto our present and future. Because the past, it is something that is already in the past. I get us upon what we are saying, even though our ancient people, our old days people, our elder people have been giving advices to the youth, but we don't consider those advices because those individual elders don't know A and B, or they don't do book and pen, so will not consider their advices. It is much more relevant because there are different sets of wisdom and knowledge. Those old people have tangible wisdom. If African youth have been listening to those individual people, it should serve as a great point or a great building block for the liberation of Africa. But if we are trying to delve back onto our native ideas, to be frank enough with you all, it is going to eat our time. For an example, when I was in the age of 17 to 18 years, I never think or thought that Egyptian is part of Africa. Because if you can see Egypt, the manner in which they are living, and if we can do a contrast between Egypt and other parts of Africa, it is much more different and difficult for us to play or to imitate their living. It is much more difficult. So I was considering that Africa, it is only countries like Liberia, Guinea, Nigeria, Ghana, the likes of Libya is not part of Africa. Then Algeria is not part of Africa. And those other countries, because 90% of them are whites. They are not blacks. So even though in the battle or in the struggle or in the fight for the liberation of Africa, 90% of them are not including themselves because they are not considering themselves as Africans. They're only casting blame in themselves. We only find ourselves in this continent, but we are not Africans. This is what they are thinking, that they are not Africans. But to be frank enough with you all, that you guys are Africans. And if you can look according to the history or the creation of man, even though religious people have their own different perspectives of explanation, but if you can look keenly the intent of the creation or the start of man, it started in Africa here to be specific. But because of this color issue, people are fighting because of this color. For example, we are having people that are staying here in Sierra Leone. Whenever they are trying to cast a blame onto themselves, they'll say, look, this black African. What is the issue with black African? This is much more heart-trending. Are we Africans not? Are we not having things to do? There must be some positive example people must use to set with us. But the individual change must start with us. And let us forget about the past. It is already in the past. Let us focus in the present and the future. What are some of the things that we must bring on board to bring out these things so that we can set different measures in the emancipation and liberation of Africa? We can seek advice from those that they say we are all Africans. For an example, Libya, because it is a country that I respected most. The reason I respected Libya, it has served as an example for the behavior that they put on during the existence of Muammar al-Gaddafi. When he was there fighting for them, they were thinking that he was a fool. So they were thinking, now that he is gone, they help the Westerners in killing Muammar al-Gaddafi. They helped the Westerners. Now they are feeling the wrath, or they are feeling the absence of Muammar al-Gaddafi. The reason I like to give example to Libya is that they are failing to know that they are part of Africa. Even though they are Arabs people, or the language that they are speaking, it is Arab. But you guys are Arab. Let us all come together and unite and fight for the liberation of Africa. We are seeing different sets of ideas within our community, within our neighboring countries. Ideas are there. We have seen the path that we must venture, that we can liberate Africa. But the only issue that is affecting us for us not to be able to liberate Africa is the implementation of unification, the unity, uniting ourselves. We have to unite Africa. America is having more than 50 states. And there are different sets of countries that come together that form the United States of America. We can imitate them in positive ways, because that is a good initiative. We can imitate them. So now, if we are going to imitate them by saying that let us form United States of Africa, even though that idea is much more good and relevant, but the other side, where there will going to be another issue, we will still be fighting who is going to lead that United States of Africa. Africans will be fighting for that. If that works, we will be stepping from another problem to another problem. If we say we are going to have a United States of Africa, for an example, I'll be fighting, if we are going to have a United States of Africa, let me be the president. That one will come, let me be the president. That one will come, let me be the president. There is no unity between ourselves. No one will be here saying that I will sacrifice myself so that this person can go ahead. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to be there. How are we going to liberate Africa if there is no unity among ourselves? Absolutely. How are we going to liberate Africa? Let us focus on the present. If we focus on the present and see how things are going, we will bring out or pick out initiative that we are going to use to build a strong and a better Africa in the future. Like I said, the past is already the past. Africans, we have known who we are. We are the image of the world. Africa, we are the face of the world. Africa, we are the mirror of the world. People have been imitating ideas from us. That is what every African known today. People have been imitating ideas from us. But those ideas, they use them to build themselves. We that are given those individual ideas are now lagging behind because we are not united. We have been fighting ourselves, border issues, tribal issues, ethnic issues. Why all this? Why all this? Let us try to unify Africa. If we don't try to unify Africa, if I can take a look into this scenario that is coming on board now, this coup, we are having right now close to 7 to 8 countries in Africa that are in coup. I am not supporting coup, and I will not support coup, because during the ancient time, our warriors never have the mandate or strength or the initiative or the idea even to say, let us overthrow our king, let us overthrow our chief. Those are initiatives that we get from the Westerns. Now that we have those initiatives, they are not practicing those initiatives. Now we are practicing it. Now we are practicing those initiatives. Now our armies have evolved themselves to political players. They have been seizing coup. But the same issue that is affecting Africa, it is the same issue that is still affecting Africa. Some other countries have been living in coup more than 3 to 4 years. But the reason why they seize coup, nothing happens. Nothing. There is no changes. Let us give chance for the unification of Africa, rather than staging coups, then at the end, nothing works. So I'll take a stop here.
Thank you very much. I mean, that was almost like closing remark.
Yeah.
Okay, Raymond.
I want to come in.
Yes.
My brother from Sierra Leone made a statement saying that the past have to remain the past, but then I want to use this opportunity to say that without the past, there is no future. So sometimes the past reflect in the future. So we need to know the past so that because if we know, the only way we will know who we are is by what? Studying our history to know the past. That is the only way we know who we are, so that we can decide in the future. And then I also want to use this opportunity and said what? In Egypt, Abdul Gamal Nasser was part with Kwame Nkrumah in the fight for Africa. So I think our Northern African brothers too, they play a vital role in Africa.
Okay. All right. We're gonna start having. All right. Loris has something to say. Ramon has already been kicked out, so I bring in Lawrence. Kwame, do you want to respond to what the brother said on going back to our past, or we should just focus on the future? And we see that we need to go back to our past, revisit it, not to stay on it, but we need to pick that past, just like in the image of Sankofa, and then we move forward, not dwelling on the past. What would you say on that?
Yes, definitely. My
Well,
brother,
oh, go ahead. That's me or the brother?
Oh. No, I was talking to Kwame, but he's been kicked out. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yes.
Oh. Okay. Well, probably not directly that question you asked, but if I would say there are some things in the past that we must hold dear, dear to the heart. Some things must remain in the spirit, dear to our hearts. But now we got to look at the times as well. Now the times been changing as well, and that's why I'm thinking now of bringing in the area of what's happening now and what could be happening. For instance, there's a desire for young people to be employed. There's the desire to not only to have material things, but to be in that field now or mindset. To survive, we want to get a degree, get certain things, use skills and art, and push forward. That side of the youth and how Africa is going, that's, I believe, should be something that's on the hearts of the young people, especially, and the way forward. So I just happen to touch that area because I believe it's important. most of the cries we're hearing is that, okay, the youth want to be employed after school, they graduate, get on, and they want to be employed, want to start a business, want to do things. And that is an urgent cry as well, I see. Because even around the world, there's a shift around the world where concerning getting their hands on resources. Same Africa again, many countries that just want to come into Africa and just take or something. So there's an urge in the world. There's a urgency of putting hands on resources and building nations. But so the African youth themselves have to have that mindset as well. How are we going to start to be part of the movement, of the growth? And I think that's important. So I'm thinking now, many of the youth have to, yes. Okay, go ahead from there. Yeah, that's okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Okay, all right, it's all right. I was thinking also that some of the youth have to involve in joint businesses. Joint businesses is not too young or not too, it's not the right time. It might be just the right time to think of those things, to get into joint businesses and launch out certain things that they know that's important for them or others for the family or friends, whatever, to have that kind of mindset. Sometimes going as an individual only into those businesses can be tough, at times tight, and it can be a bit harsh. But joining together and creating those businesses can be big things, because we know in the youth, their hearts, they have visions, there are things that they're saying. We at our age, we may not be seeing it at all, but in their heart, there are things that they are saying and where they want to go to. But all those areas are important, because most of the thing will happen is that, for instance, after a while, they get into probably marriage, friend, maybe a child or children. They want the best for them as well coming up. So they also have to begin to move into the areas of the finances, the investments, and that area. So I just happen to touch this area just for now, and I think that's okay. I think there's much more to speak about, but maybe next time. Much more. All right.
Thank you very much. I think
is that okay?
No. I was about. It's okay. What I wanted to say, Marshall, on the point that there's this thing. I'm speaking from the facts and the reality on the ground now. It's not, like I said, it's not about. There's too much sorrow on the continent. Too much sorrow. Honestly, I mean, it's actually distorting my energy. It's a point that sometimes I'm really lost. You can hear from the music in the street, you can hear even in the centers, there's too much sorrow in the voices of the people on the continent. Yes, Christianity is a way of worship. It's another form of a culture of which we all also come from, but not the other form that was brought to us. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of sorrow. I mean, the Africa that we yearn, we're burning for, there's the doubled, I think, 10 sides of it, if we have to really split it. But I want to make a point clear on what Masha, you said. We should stop this issue of always making our people not only material things. What is it that we always mean not material things? This is a continent that is rich. This is a continent that we're proudly saying has the youngest population in the world. For God's sake, it is the youngest continent with a growing world population. It is the third biggest population. Europe comes in the third position on this before this continent. This is the continent that in 2027 is contributing to the global workforce. This is a continent that 6 of the fastest world growing economies are on the continent of Africa. This is a continent that would represent China, even in its position of world population. This is a continent that is second with a population of 1.4 billion. We talked about it in 2020, and it was just 1.3 billion. And in the fastest means, it is 1.4 billion. I'm talking about the continent. There is a lot that the young people have to focus on to make money, to get rich, to get material needs as well. For God's sake, we should stop always saying, no, not only material. This is a language that keeps the African under this gloomy, sad, and the world has nothing to offer. After all, I have some world somewhere in heaven where that's only where I would enjoy it. It is absolutely wrong. Politics, even in Africa, is not only always about marching on the street, being incarcerated. Politics also means innovation. Everything that the world functions on has to do with politics. If there are no entrepreneurship, there will be no laws to govern it. If there are not creation, product management, industrialization, there would be no copyright law that are governing it according to the policies or whatever systems that we're putting in place. We should stop always saying Africa is like a funeral, like a grave. I'm telling you, my energy is dripping every time I hear this melancholic, sad sounds on the continent of Africa. We know Africa is a continent of festivals, manifestation, talent, so much talent that you cannot even describe. We want our young people to wake up. We don't want to put our young people in the state of a situation that they cannot handle. They have the right to enjoy life like any other youth in the world. They have a right to be the richest sitting on the richest continent. They have a right to roll the highest cars that they will produce for themselves. They have a right to fly private jets. They have a right to own wealth. And honestly, that wealth is existing here. But the mindset, just like Kamara said, is the place where we are stuck in. This gloomy, crying Africa. This a lot of things that we have to deal with. It is a yes or a no. No, you really cannot define it in Africa. The unity that we're talking about, we don't need to go and study any 43 laws. We have it in us. If we say we know who we are, then let our yes be our yes, our no be our no. Are we moving forward? We're not moving forward. Who are those? Not everybody would go with us. Like we say, democracy, even in Europe, doesn't work for itself in the West. There are people that are always against. There are people that would be for. But what we wish for this year and our elders is for us to find a harmony between the classes on the continent. There's a lot of classism. The young people don't agree with the elders. The elders look at the young people as they don't know what the future looks like. There's just not this harmony. We have to start from somewhere. Our young people have to go back Sankofa, learn from the elders. Elders have to understand that at one point they have to leave the stage. You cannot be an elder for life. You cannot know everything in the world. Yes, you knew during your own period, but you also have to give that level of understanding that the young people are bringing something. After all, you're not going to stay here forever. The leaderships that we're talking about is all our own leaderships. And the leaderships are taking on another step and look for this vibrant Africa that we know. We look forward for this youth that will rise up in the morning and say, I need to create something. Africans create everything. They can create everything. Now we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. And it starts here in the African. You can create anything. Don't be always buying anything. I see people upgrading and we have a lot of homemade goods, but nobody is promoting them. There's no channel talking about them. There's nobody wearing them. There's nobody talking about them. We go back into our inferiority complex. Like I said, it's all a bubble. You don't know where to start. You want to touch everything at the same time because the opportunities are endless. The challenges on the continent that we're talking about, the solution, is the opportunities. Every challenge is an opportunity for an investor. That's what we all know. If we say we don't have hospitals, so we will have to develop our own hospitals. What kind of hospitals? We have the conventional hospitals, we have the medical centers. I don't think we're short of that. But we have hospitals that respond to the need of the locals. What about our herbs? What about our own natural made things that we can pharmacy them, package them, just like China herbs everywhere? just like European hubs everywhere. I don't see anybody stopping us from doing that, but we should stop this energy. The energy on the continent is deadly. Mothers speak only in the way it's all sorrow. Youths are just ready to just live or die. That's the other part of Africa. And this energy is not what we know about the great Africa. This is not what we're talking about. That's not the spirit of our ancestors. Where is this spirit of sorrow, of sadness, of giving up, of survival? When we live in the continent that is growing and tomorrow would constitute the world working position. It is sad, but let me tell you the figures. It's clear. These are facts. It's not just thinking. We have to work with facts on the ground. And then we begin to only stop this narrative of, oh, they're always coming for our resources. What if they're coming for your growth? What if they're coming for your population that is unstoppable? What if they're coming for something else apart from just minerals? What if that? What if they're coming because 328 million, I think, what is still the population on the continent that is not going to school. These are children out of school that have never been to school. We're talking about the new generation. And this population constitutes 20% in the global world that are out of school, that have never visited school. What does this mean for us, the diaspora? What does this mean for us Africans? Shouldn't we be thinking about this industry of education? Shouldn't we? Honestly, shouldn't we? Number two, if we want to, all the statistics are already showing that the kind of education that we're talking about is not going to be sit and own a PhD or something like that. It's going to be about skills. How do we position the skills? Because that's the future working force on the continent. Is this what we're ready to give to our children? Is this what we're ready to give them as Sankofa? These are all things that we should be talking about and thinking. Because the world is not stopped. The world is making money. And we need our young people to wake up and get out from this poverty mentality. And get up from the idea that somebody owes you something. And get up from the thing that I need to go and study 43 laws for me to be accurate and then for me now to advance. It's all a mixture of one thing or the other. I don't know if this makes sense, but like I said, I'm talking from the situation on the ground. There's a lot of businesses. After, as we know, Africa Free Trade Continental is the biggest trade area in the world, launched in 2021. Are we talking about that? That's a money-making venture. Is that what we're talking about? If we want a diaspora to invest on the continent or to come back home, where's the land that we're talking about? There are a lot of endless opportunities. And I need my young people to wake up and be counting every single dollar a day. How much did I make today? How much am I making tomorrow? How much am I making? That's how it is. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing materialistic only about it. We have to change this narrative of always keeping our young people down and putting them under this religious concept of there is something somewhere if somebody doesn't give you. No, you need to wake up and work. And I've seen the hustles, but they need guardians. Now, I want to go back to you, Kwame. I've not been long on the continent, but I'm born and raised on the continent. So I know both. What I'm saying, am I exaggerating?
Definitely no. First of all, I would like to touch some few points about what Kamara said about African unity. This African unity is one of the major points that we have to be aware of. It is either we unite or we perish. That was what Kwame Nkrumah said. Until today, we know that.
Okay, hold it. Kwame, I'm sorry. Hold it. Just hold it there because unity has a tool. When we do business with each other, that's unity. When we have a common single currency and a passport, that is unity. Those are tools. Because I think most of these English words about unity, even though we are united, we still always think we need to unite in one point or the other. Now we're talking about Africa Free Trade Continental Area, that it's the biggest market on the continent where Africa produce, sell to Africans without even exporting. They don't need to export anything. The 1.4 billion market is enough. If they want to export, they have their 600 or how many million of the diasporas, and the diasporas are even coming home. We should be talking on the Pan African Daily on how we are empowering our young people and giving them these entrepreneurial skills. That is unity. Now, the next question would be, Kwame, to you. I'm sorry, I'm not chopping up your words, but I didn't want us to go back into the same repetition of something that is working, but we're not seeing it working the way we want. Europe and America, I've not seen any nation that is united. I don't know if they are united. I don't see any unity. When they talk about unity in the West, is because they work together, they do business together, they trade together. That's how we see unity. We see a one passport, we see a one currency, we see movement of goods and services, we see money changing hands, we see a currency that is powerful, and people are busy doing business with it. That is unity. What is unity to us? Kwame, over to you.
Okay. So unity encompasses all what you just said, and unity
Yes.
is a key to our development because there are certain goals in this part of the world that other people in the other part of this continent need. So if we can't trade among ourselves, we are actually depriving other parts of our brothers to use that part of our goods. But this is very, very, very difficult because my brother uh, Raymond once told me how he was being embarrassed trying to cross just to deliver a goods to our neighbor country, Togo. And because of this ununited Africa, we are really suffering. And all these young potentials like me who are trying to get into other ventures, if really this unity works and we can be able to export our ideas, even ideas, we can actually sell ideas to other parts of this continent. But since this unity is not working, it is becoming difficult. So if this continental free trade will actually work, it is going to be a very boom business for all of us.
Yes.
It is something that we really need. And this poverty mindset of Africans, we really need to blame religion for this. This escapism that you have to go somewhere to enjoy riches, it is actually a trap for Africans. It has been working for them for 400 years. We need to realize this trap and realize lavish life, explore this continent. It's not going to happen in heaven. We are here. Let us discuss what we're supposed to do here on earth. At least when we go to heaven, we will discuss about what will really happen in heaven. We did not discuss what will happen on this earth when we come here. So why are we trying to leave what is happening on this earth and then talk about what will happen in heaven? Heaven will be discussed later on. So I think this free trade continental program, it has been long overdue. It has to
We
be
are
implemented
concluding.
long.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Like I said, we have one minute to conclude on the topic, and then we move on to the topic for tomorrow. Okay. So I'm getting back to you. What is your conclusion for tonight, and what's the way forward? We might not even be able to round up today.
To me, that question was for me.
Go ahead, Lawrence. Yes. What are you concluding on today? 1 minute each.
Okay. Well, I can see there is a desire for a change. I can see there's a desire for the change of system or the way of doing things, and I also see it also maybe for the change of persons. Probably the certain persons who may have to be in certain positions. That also is an option, because we know if there are certain people in certain positions, they might do things differently as well. That's another thing to think about. I believe governance of country, I think that's where it's leading, the governance of country or state or whatever. That's important. And also in the industry side of things, manufacturing side of things, and you know, the way of getting things under control, in a sense. Solar, wind, and water energy. Africa has a lot of that, a lot of sun, water, and wind as well. So, in general, there is a vision from the youth, and I believe it can happen. It can happen. Not the average.
Okay.
Yeah, it can happen. So, I'll encourage youth to get together as much as possible, network, and see if by the kind of gifts, skill sets you have, and education, whatever you have together, put them together and see something can come from that. That's my word just for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Raymond? Raymond, over to you. Can you hear me, Raymond?
Okay. Thank you very much. And to conclude, I would just say it is time for us, the youth of Africa, to network among each other and do business. And we need to go into skills. There are a lot of opportunities that we can go into. You know, most of us have phone, and that phone we can do something with that phone. We can go into YouTube. It fetch money a lot, and tourism, despite the challenges that we encounter in various borders, because sometimes I remember I send some tourists from Ghana to Nigeria, and I have to sleep at the border. We need to face challenges at the border, but then I have no option to accept it, because if the youth of Africa are willing to go and die at the Mediterranean Sea, then let's do that. Let's just have that desire heart to network and do business. Let's go into skill, because I have a few people, somebody from Nigeria who need a fashion designer in Ghana. Let's connect to each other and do business. I like it when I saw Nigerian musicians are coming to Ghana, playing shows, doing their tours over here. Ghanaians are in Nigeria doing tours. Let's network to each other. Let's make business. Let's make money. That is the unity. It's also part of the unity, because, and if you go to Europe, they are not. We have Germany, Spain, and all that, but they connect to each other, despite the challenges we face at the border. But then, we can't stop it. Let's still do it, because I can remember I faced a lot of challenges at the Ivory Coast border. They deny me entry, and then Togo border to the same thing. But now they know me, so if they see me, they say, "Hey, you disturbing boy, you this boy." Then they allow me enter, because I worry them. They sack me and they are tired of me. So if they see me, they open the border for me. You see, so we need to do that. We shouldn't give up. Let's go into business. And I want to use this opportunity to plead on our brothers and sisters from the diaspora that what they should connect back to the continent and then invest in the continent and create a business so that what together we can make Africa a beautiful place. Together we can build the Africa that we want.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's very great. Kwame, what's your last word before I go to Camara?
My last word will be, if our elders had told us, let the youth unite and do business. At least
Yes.
we can model this for the next generation. It is a must, and we must start now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very powerful. The youths must unite, do business among themselves, bring ideas among themselves, and together we're going to build this powerful, powerful lives for ourselves and our continent. Kamara?
Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to go, but I have to. I am much more impressed concerned about this panel discussion today, in which I don't want it to end by now. I was hoping we stuck to it back tomorrow. My
But we
final
have to
message
end. We have to end. So anybody's just saying the last word. Yes.
I'll be laying my emphasis on to the politicians and the government. Please, I am pleading. Let there be independent institution in our continent. If there are independent institutions in our continent, there will be transparency in everything that we are doing. More especially the media to be specific. Let the media be much more independent and protective, so that any individual leader or politician or a government parastatal or a president that is corrupt will be held accountable during or through the media. The next again, we are now intelligent. The education that the colonizers taught us or bring to us has made us to be much more intelligent and smart. So now let us use that intelligence and smartness and focus in entrepreneurship. Let us liberate Africa through creating roles for the youth in entrepreneurship. So thank you all. I am much more impressed. So I'll say Tata, goodbye till we meet again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Susan.
I'm not
Hello.
shutting off this video on you anyway.
Dr.
No.
Dr.
Yes.
Susan.
Nobody's going away. Yes. We have to conclude.
Okay.
My phone is about to shoot down.
Just something short.
My phone is about to shoot down.
I'm thanking. Yes.
My phone is shooting down.
Lawrence, did you want to say something?
Oh, yes, just something short, very short. Anyway, we are down here in the diaspora, in the Caribbean. Remember us. You know, we're happy to be part of the African roots. So remember us. We want to trade also, do business, and send you experts and whatever. Bring down some seeds for us. We'll plant over here, trees, something, whatever. Don't just keep us in mind. Thank you, as we do the same for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think thank you to our guests and our panelists and these young people and connecting the Africa on the continent and the diaspora. I want to thank all of us in the chat. But I wanted before Kamara to leave that we have two key assignments to do that I'm giving to the audience and also to the guests on the panel. There's a word that all of us have to research that word. I know we already know it. Most of us don't know it, but it will be necessary that we go through it. It's called alkebulan. Most of us know it. Some of us don't know it. Most of us don't understand the meaning of it. So I would like, even if you don't have to do a lot of research on it, just search even on your Google, and it's going to give you exactly the meaning, and so you can reflect on it. I'm putting it in the chat. the way it is. I know a lot of us know it. Please make sure, make sure that you're learning these words, you study it for yourself. Alkebulan, I put it already in the chat, but the chat is not picking it up. I don't know why. And then the second assignment that we're giving ourselves tonight is to go through, it doesn't matter. Even if you know it, just go through it again. Go through the 42 or 43 laws of Ma'at. I mean, that should be our assignment for today. 42 laws of Ma'at. Because our youth were saying, or those that know or those that don't know, please research and get information on these two words, Ma'at and Al-Kebulan. That's how we're going to be ending our shows. Every evening, we look for two important words that we all have to reflect on. If you've never known it, you can go through it, you can Google it, you can give in your search engine, you can talk to the masters a lot. Because when we talk about we have to educate ourselves, oh, we know who we are. I think we have to start from somewhere that even though we know some things, some other people don't know, we have to share. Study the 42 laws or 43 in some places of Ma'at. I put it there, 42. Yes, thank you, 42 laws of Ma'at. And then number 2 is Al-Kebulan. Research the meaning of Al-Kebulan. I have it right here open, but there's something that I want us to learn about it. When we learn about it, that's going to be a conversation on it. Because why does even Google refer to Al-Kebulan as the Garden of Eden? I think that's very, very important. Even when I had to go through, we just know that that was the ancient name, indigenous name of Africa, and even referring it as to mother of mankind. You know, Al-Kebulan as mother of mankind, which we call Africa today. I mean, we're not saying that we have to go back to Al-Kebulan, but honestly, when I connect with my ancestors, that's how I call it. And then we go to our 42 laws, one after the other. Even if you know it, let's just do it if you want to. If you want to be a part of the new energy, yes, it's okay. So I thank you so very much, all of you in the chat. I thank all the comments. I thank all of you that have made it an opportunity to be with us today, sacrifice your time, even though it's been long that we've not been connecting, but I can guarantee you that from this moment, if there are no lights out on the continent, we'll be live. Because I've seen, like I said, a lot of our people that are coming up. If you still have some Pan-African vocabularies or Al-Kebulan words, keywords that you want us to study, we should go through them. But like I said, the topic for tomorrow is for us to reflect on these two words, Ma'at and Al-Kebulan, and we try, all of us, to understand why and where it is coming from. Because I think walking or the history of Africa or knowing who we are concerns all of us. There is no limitation to learn. Every day we have to learn, and there's no stopping about it. So I thank you so very much. Thank you for my guests. Thank you for being really smart on the topic. Yes, we have learned a lot from you. These things will not work overnight. We have to continue to do it every day. It's now a rehearsal. So don't forget to bring your waters tomorrow. Each time we're connecting here, because we have to drink water and mind our African business. And so we have to chew Ma'at and its 42 laws. And we have to understand what Al-Kebulan means to us as Africans. So good night. I love you so very much. And we see us tomorrow. Thank you so much, Sister Elizabeth.
Good night, everybody. Ray.
Good night to all.
And Kwame.
Cheryl, Novia, Kwame, Kofi,
hello, audience.
Ines, Muddy, Ragged Music, Ragged Music. Thank you to all our people connecting from the continent, in the diaspora, and worldwide. And we see us tomorrow again with Pan-African Daily TV. And good night to all of us. Bye-bye. Oh, I need to find that jingle. Wonderful. Good night.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want, unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.